Yeah, it looked pretty creepy.
These
Uh,
bars
Your
over
eyes
here.
Your
Yeah.
eyes were bugging out through the bars.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do that. I just need to shut the lights off in the background.
Upload.
That was a pretty cool thing I was thinking about.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Dennis.
How
Break
are
It
you?
just projects onto my face.
All right, well, I'm sitting, so
Yes.
it doesn't
You
I
matter.
can't figure out how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
Dude, that's terrifying.
Okay, gang, we are live on. What I did was I switched to the Quarantine E-Theater YouTube. The first time you use a YouTube channel, you have to enable live stream, and I did not do that. I had forgotten that element, so I jumped on. We're using the Quarantine E-Theater. If you have somebody watching on YouTube, just let them know that it's been changed to that. So I apologize for that.
Do you want to send her a link?
Not only will it be live, but it will be recorded. So, and then we can transfer the recording to the Schenectady Civic Players YouTube channel.
Oh, are we still alive?
Hi,
We're
Ellen.
live right now. We're live
Okay.
on Zoom.
We're
We
live.
are live on
And
YouTube.
Steve is currently turning into my sleep paralysis demon.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry for
Can't
the
figure out how to
right there,
upload
too.
it, David.
Oh, wonderful. The
Sorry,
invisible
how
man.
much can I emote with my eyes?
Yes.
Satan's
Yeah.
back.
Hello, Connie.
Hey.
Now, is
Yeah.
that really your sewing room, dear?
Well,
Right. Yeah.
Just say yes.
absolutely.
Beautiful
No,
sewing
no,
room.
no.
Thank you. It's so organized, don't you think?
Yes. Much more than mine. Mine's a mess, kind of.
Can you
Not
tell us
too
how
bad.
you did it? Can you share with us some tips and tricks?
um,
And we've just hit over
Patrick.
400 masks.
Oh, Mark is here. Hi,
did
Mark.
you? I just hit over 300.
Joel. Hi, Joel.
I actually changed the words. I told Michael today, we talked, I said, I've made over 300. I don't want to say one.
No, no, no. You need credit for the number.
Right where it's due.
Iris Singer is here. Let's see who else we have.
Hi, Benita.
Othman.
Took me a minute. I had a little computer thing.
Oh, a thing.
Is the season for computer things.
Tell me about it.
Huh.
What do I do again? I want to change my name.
In the upper right-hand corner,
Yeah, no, with me, it's the left. I click on video.
3 dots. There's 3
Yeah.
dots. It says rename, and then you'll get a drop-down menu, and then rename.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Oh,
Nice.
now you get sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I'm happy.
Just call me Griffin, the Invisible Man, whatever his
Yeah,
name was.
yeah, yeah.
Specifically in the
Okay.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not working.
That movie
I,
was so
I haven't seen our MC.
I love that. That's a fun movie. It's not
Watch
good,
me
but it's
get
fun.
pressed and it'll gross you
so
out.
bad.
It was a good movie. It's a good
It was
remake.
what caused Sean Connery to retire.
Benita, it's
from
the upper
acting.
right-hand corner. On your screen, it should say mute and unmute right there. There's a little box with 3 dots.
There's Michael. Okay.
Unless you're on Chromebook, it's a different version.
Mm.
Mine, I got it yesterday. I found it by my video. Choose virtual video settings. That was
So
in it.
welcome people as you arrive. What you can start doing is you can start turning your videos off
Okay.
and keep yourself muted. It'll make the whole broadcast a little cleaner for everyone. If the performers, you can stay on for a moment. You can welcome everybody. We're not ready to get started quite yet. I'm glad Michael is here, our MC.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Michael?
Good to be here.
Michael.
Where would we be without you?
I think
Same
you
place
did
we
just
are
fine
now.
without me, quite honestly, but you know, I'm not going to point that out.
Let's see. I'm looking for Okay, Jen is here. Great. Vultures system. Dennis is here. Janice. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay. Anita's here. Tara's here. Is it Tara or Tara? Tara.
Either or. I usually introduce myself as Tara, but I'll answer to anything really.
I know. My
Unless we
daughter,
call you for cocktails,
daughter is-
right?
my daughter.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
My daughter is a Tara, so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Into these confusions. Okay, so Tara it is.
Well,
Middle name
again,
is Bouvier.
Steve
if
is
you
here.
prefer Tara, that's what I'll try and introduce you as, and I apologize in advance if I don't.
Thank you.
Laura, are you here? Laura Graver, I thought I saw you.
am.
You are.
I just renamed myself, so yeah.
Excellent.
And I thought I'd keep my video off because I'm still like fixing my
Oh, that's fine. Okay, great. I just wanted to check that you were with us. That's all.
Probably get this sorted out.
And I thought I saw Beverly too. Maybe she. Oh, there you
Yes,
are.
Beverly is
There's your lovely face.
She's right under you in gallery view. I don't know why you don't see her.
So
Are you recording this by any chance?
we are recording it. It's on the Quarantine E-Theater YouTube channel. It's going live right now. And when at the end of the evening, it will be there in that channel. There was a glitch and not able to go through Schenectady Civic Players YouTube channel tonight. And then I'll work with Evan after tonight and see about getting the video switched over to Schenectady Civic Players. But in the meantime, we're just going to deal with that. And so if anybody's joining or knows somebody who's going to tune into YouTube, we did change the link in the event. And if you go to the event page on Facebook, you can access the Quarantine E-Theater channel that way, or you can search it and as Quarantine E-Theater. So. Okay. We have all of our cast here tonight. We have several guests here tonight. I see Patrick and Chris are here. Olga is here. Hi, Olga. Great to have you aboard. Rick Capullo. Hi, Rick. Susan Katz. Hi, Susan. Tony Romanowski. Hi, Tony. Jeffrey Cohen is here. We still have some people coming in. There's a donation link in one of the Facebook events. If you go to some of the posts that either Schenectady Civic Player has posted, or I have, Colleen, Sarah, Papini, you can find the link to the donation page. It would be excellent if we were to be able to gather a little bit more money for Schenectady Civic Theater. Some of the proceeds are being shared with Hamilton Hill Arts Center. Oh my goodness, George Philo is here.
God damn it, everybody leave.
Awkward.
Oh, no. There goes the evening.
Hi,
I thought
George.
this was going to be classy.
I'll have to return his silver spoon I
Boy,
stole.
we let anybody in, don't we? Let anybody in, don't we, David?
We do. I even golf with George. Let's see. Jen Bollington is joining us. Oh, sweet.
The real Bob Stillmaker will be joining us shortly.
Debbie, where are you, Debbie? Where are you, Debbie?
Deb Bercier is joining us. Hi, Deb.
Ah,
There's some names here I don't recognize because they have cryptic.
titles and stuff.
It could be anybody.
Right.
Ooh.
I see Jean Carney's joining us now. Hi, Jean.
All rise.
Almost.
Carolyn, you made it.
Hi, Eric. Hiya, George. Hey, George, would you mute yourself and turn your video off, please?
We don't want to see you or hear you.
Yeah, that was enough for you, George. Bye.
Oh, poor George.
Oh, there.
There's
Woo!
Karen. Hi, Karen. We're all
I'm
welcome.
gonna see you tomorrow, George. on the
Hi,
14th.
He's
Hi,
Michael.
Olga.
Hi, Frenzy.
Could you guys turn your videos off? And
Yeah, and mute.
I see you got yourself muted already. Good. Still having some people coming in. Karen, Canton, are you able to stop your video? We're having quite the turnout tonight.
Yeah, right.
Hi, Michael O'Farrell. Rob Weber is joining us. Hi, Rob. David Stone is here. Hi, David.
Let's go Mets.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's
Michael O'Farrell, could you stop your video, please? Great, thank you. Susanna Hash. Hi, Susanna.
oh,
Is there a local? Is there a local David Stone? Because I have a friend like that who lives in Illinois who's David Stone. I'm wondering if he's joining us tonight.
Hello, Susanna Hash. I'm going mute.
Me, David. David Stone is the name of the character I play.
Oh, that's right. Okay, got it. Thanks.
There is some overlap.
I noticed that last night. And there's Roseanne is wishing us everybody to break legs.
Aw.
Thanks, Roseanne.
And for strong internet connections,
Yeah.
the new breaking legs.
But his phone is coming in, as well as Juliet King. Hi, Juliet. Let's see. Karen, Canton, I'm still seeing your video. Do you need me to stop it?
I'm not sure it is a video. Her image hasn't moved.
Yeah.
Karen, are you lying down?
No, I think that's her.
There we go.
Oh,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
Well, I removed it. Karen, if you try to rejoin us, you might have to send me a message in the chat function. So I might have
I think
to
it's just like
it again. What time is it now? It's 7:30. Oh, but we still have some people signing in. Sarah, let's see. Beverly and Dennis, could you close off your videos? Just to. I think what we're going to do, if everybody could start, Colleen, why don't you stay on? Michael, stay on. Okay, so I think what we can start doing is the introduction for tonight. I'm fixing my hair. I cut my own hair during the pandemic a couple of weeks ago. I think it looks lovely. And
Are you really trying to fix your hair, David?
I have to keep admitting people. Here we go. You got more
Great.
people joining us. Oh, this is great.
Come on in.
So if I get distracted, it's because I'm either like looking at the chat functions here and also still admitting people. Welcome everyone to virtual BeScene, pandemic and quarantine. It's quite a bit different than BeScene that we've had in the past. And tonight we have 13 original works, many of them performed by the people who wrote them, but several of them not. You will get an announcement about those. You might have seen posts about them. Michael will be announcing them. I'm joined here today by my co-producer, Colleen Lovett. There she is. And a representative of the board who's also helped a great deal in bringing this to fruition, Sarah Papini, who many of you know. Wave to them, Sarah. Our MC for the evening is Michael Schaefer, and with his beautiful voice. And Joe, can you stop your video, please? We're starting the show. As the show progresses, it's in the lower left hand. There you go. Excellent. As the show progresses, if people start popping in and out, I may end up just simply removing you. not removing you from the room. I'll shut down your audio and video, not to interfere with the performance. So what I'd like to do, and there we go. Sarah, would you like to begin the evening for tonight?
I would love to. I would love to. Well, thank you, David. My name is Sarah Papini. I am the board secretary over at Schenectady Civic Players. And for those of you not familiar with us, or a theater located in the Stockade area of downtown Schenectady. We have 6 productions a year. We do stage readings and other, we bring in Opera Saratoga and other groups to utilize our space and really bring as much art as we can to the community. And one of the events that we love doing every year is BeScene, which David and Colleen has taken to the next level in the years they've produced it. And as you know, this year is kind of challenging. Schenectady Civic Players, along with every other theater and arts organization in the area, had to cut their season short. For us, that meant 3 shows, This Random World, The Cake, and Prelude to a Kiss had to be postponed. We're really looking forward to bringing those shows to you in the future, but for this year, it means a significant portion of our revenue was cut. Ticket sales do significantly help the theater. So BeScene is usually a show that we do. It's free, but we say it's a pay what you will. And consider me being the jar in front of the theater, collecting donations for the evening. We have 2 ways you can donate, and we hope that if you like what you see and you enjoy it, you will put whatever you can in the jar. $5, $10, $500.
Maybe if you don't like what you see, you can put
Even if you don't like what you see, darn it, you need more money to do a better job. That helps too. But
Hi, Dan. Could you stop your video, please?
I did.
Hi, Dan.
So I will, those are on our website and on our Facebook page, but I'll certainly put them in the chat comments too. And you can message me if you have any questions. But we're really excited that a portion of tonight's fundraising will also go to benefit the Hamilton Hill Art Center, our neighbors who do incredible work. Check them out online. They're just an incredible resource. And we thought it was important to reach out to them and connect and try to help them out during this time as well. I can't thank these artists enough. All the work you're seeing today, as David said, is going to be original. Normally we do produce shows, published plays, but this is giving us an incredible, unique opportunity to hear the voices of our own theater community. And thank you so much to the cast and to the playwrights for using your talents for this performance. And I want to give a thank you to David and Colleen for all their work, truly revamping this, reshaping it. And, you know, we thought our season was done when we closed the theater on March, whatever that was, 13th, 16th. Literally, we had a show up ready to run. It was opening the following week. So it's really nice to be able to be back during this season. So with that, thank you everyone for your continued support, and I'll turn things over to David and Colleen.
Thank you, Sarah. That was beautiful. Yeah, Schenectady Civic Players is a marvelous, marvelous theater. I've had the opportunity to, as many of the people watching tonight have had the opportunity to do a number of things there. So it's really an honor to be able to continue to contribute to Schenectady Civic Players' legacy of theater in a new way. Colleen, would you like to say anything about tonight?
Sure. So when the first year we did it at, that we co-produced BeScene at Schenectady Civic Players, I guess that was 2018, my father was here on a visit from Europe. He lives in France, and I hadn't seen him for a really long time. I mean, I saw him recently, but after a long period. And we have a party usually after people do their scenes, and I introduced him to a few people, and he went and he sort of made himself comfortable talking to people, and he came up to me and he said, you know, I love your people. And you know, talking, and I looked around and realized that you know there's some new faces there, and people that I worked on different projects with, people that I studied music with, And I was like, wow, that's right. These are, these are our people. This is our community. And what's special about BeScene, as Sarah was saying, is like, they're not the plays, it's not part of the regular production season. And it also gives people a chance who aren't normally on that stage, or in some cases haven't been on a big stage, to perform something, or to perform something that you might not, maybe you wanted to be cast in it, or maybe, you want to play a different, type than you usually do, or just want to try something different. That's sort of the purpose of it. And of course, this year, these are actually, original works, so that gives it something special. Yeah, I guess that's all. And just, so it's really nice that we were able to do this virtually to keep that community going. And also, I really was thrilled to know that SCP will be sharing proceeds with Hamilton Hill Arts Center, because that's another way the community can keep growing, the theater community. So thank you all for coming tonight, and to the performers.
Thank you, Colleen. Yes, this was given birth. We had a whole show going. This is the original date for the show, June 13th. We didn't want to give up on it. We changed things completely back in, it was either late March or early April, was when Quarantine E-Theater was just starting up too. We said, let's go virtual. Let's just ask for original work. We changed everything. This is virtual. The theme is pandemic and quarantine. So the call for submissions went out and ended May 25th. We had a couple of people begging to get in at the last minute. They're here. Everybody got in. It's a really great collection that we saw last night. I'm not going to name all the performers right now. Michael Schaefer, who's with us tonight, will be introducing each of them for us. Our faces will disappear. We're going to try to do this as seamlessly as possible. As you know, this is not our first technology, and we've only gone through this. We've had one reading last night, and we've gone through everything. So we'll do our best job to keep this seamless. I want to invite everybody. We're not going to be able to have our little party afterwards, but we will have a short talk back afterwards if people want to stick around and ask anybody any questions about either their work or say something about the performances or whatever. Please stick around for that. So, Michael, are you ready to take over for us?
I am ready.
Wonderful. Great. So I'm going to turn off my video and microphone, and Colleen, if you do the same.
Okay. First of all, let me thank everybody who's participating in this in any way that you are participating, whether or not you are performing, whether you have written a piece, or whether you are simply watching. We appreciate your support here of not only Schenectady Civic players, but we hope you contribute to the Hamilton Hill Center for the Arts, two very important institutions in the Schenectady city area, and we appreciate your support. To start off, we are going to listen to a piece presented and performed by Sean T. Baldwin. It is written by Brian Sheldon, and it is entitled How to Make the Perfect PPJ.
Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Sam. I'm Sam, and if this is your first time watching, thank you so much. I'd really appreciate it if you'd follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button so that you get a notification every time I put up a new video or go live. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back. It really does mean a lot, and let me begin by saying that last week's show was a complete accident. I will no longer be attempting difficult recipes on my live streams. Plus, I talked to my mom about it, and we agreed that it's not fair to you as my audience or to her as the person who's cleaning up after me. I mean, if I had known that, first of all, that my first attempt at a souffle would explode all over my mother's freshly walkie. Today we are making the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know. You already know how to make PB&J, but trust me, none of you have ever made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich my way. Sure, it's easy to make PB&J, but trust me when I say the ingredients make all the difference. After all, with everybody quarantined and socially distancing, it's important to take the little things and turn them into shining moments. So, when I was younger, much younger than I am now, I didn't like the food at school, and so I wouldn't eat it. I also was not very interested in eating in front of other people. I guess you could say I felt uncomfortable in my skin. And even though all of my other friends were eating the same food, I kind of thought that if they saw me eating, they'd point at me and laugh. You know, I was never one of those kids who was searching for the limelight. I wasn't a popular kid. I just never felt totally right. In fact, it wasn't for until a few months ago that I really actually started to look in the mirror and recognize myself. So I didn't eat the food, and it really was that bad. So of course I would wait until I got home and my mom would make me a sandwich, and I always wanted peanut butter and jelly. So if you have the ingredients at home, great. If you don't, get out your pen and paper, make a list as we go along. You ready for this? All right. So to start things off, the bread. Now, when you see what we're going to use, the first thing you're going to say is, Sam, that's crazy. But trust me, this is the only way. You have to use cinnamon raisin bread. It's important. Look, if you use regular Wonder Bread, you're cheapening the experience. If you're just using white bread, what makes your sandwich different from anybody else's? Is it cool to stand along the crowd? Don't you want to stand out just a little bit? Of course you do. So, cinnamon raisin bread, it is. Now, the next thing that we're going to have is the jelly. Or, for purposes of creating the perfect PB&J, we're going to be using strawberry preserves. Now, I know you're thinking, Sam, we're taking a really extreme turn on an American classic here, but just trust me on this one. Remember, we're trying new things. And after all, you might discover your new favorite thing. So, now, we're going to apply the jelly first. Now, why is that? Well, if you apply the jelly second, it gets all over your knife, and then you put the knife in the peanut butter, and it gets all over into the peanut butter jar, and then your mom gets mad. So, do yourself a favor, skip the fight, start with the jelly. Now, I know some of you are probably asking right now, Sam, how much jelly is the right amount of jelly? And the answer is actually pretty simple. You ready for this? Whatever you want. It's your sandwich. You're the boss. You make all the decisions. If you want to use half a jar of jelly, hey, go for it. It's your life. I mean, you might get diabetes, but hey, your call. So, maybe stick with the sugar-free. Anyways, I prefer a little bit more than most. So if there's 2 or 3 pieces of fruit on the bread, I don't mind. In fact, I always try to have at least 1 piece of fruit right in the middle there. Kind of reminds me of a heart. And what's a good sandwich without a little heart? So that's the jelly. Next is the peanut butter. And I know everybody's got their favorite brands, and I'm not going to preach, but I dig Peter Pan. And I think it's because deep down, all of us don't really want to grow up. I mean, growing up means car payments and bills and student loans and ugh. As for me, I'm pretty good where I'm at right now. After all, I've got this killer collection of graphic tees, and I'm very much looking forward to wearing them all before they no longer fit. So, once we've finished applying the peanut butter, do not close the sandwich. It isn't done yet. No. Remember, we're keeping an open mind about things. Sometimes things are different. It doesn't mean that they're wrong. It also doesn't mean that you have to follow my instructions. I'm sure the way that you make PB&J is totally fine. I'm just asking that you keep an open mind and try new things, all right? You ready for this? Get yourself a bag of potato chips, right? And you're going to take 4 or 5 chips, spread them out evenly across the peanut butter, and then we close the sandwich. And now, thing of beauty, isn't it? Good enough to eat. So I think I will. You ready? You ready? Ready? Mm. Oh God. That is delicious. Mm. So you might want to have some milk to help with the peanut butter that sticks to the roof of your mouth. Yeah, that's right. Whew. And there you have it. The perfect PB&J. Acceptable for quarantine or any other time of the week, month, or year. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Sam, and I want you to know you're important to me. Now, no matter what's in your sandwich, it's yours. I'll see you next week. Maybe we'll even retry the souffle with Mom's help. See you later, guys. Take care.
All right. Well, while there may not be a right or a wrong way to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I can think that we might agree upon whether or not there is a gross way to make that kind of sandwich. Anyway, moving on. Written by Justin K. Rivers and being performed by Jennifer Cullen, now we present to you The Vultures.
We call them vultures, but they're not really birds. They have thick feathers like lizard scales made of rubber, but the rubber is shaped like feathers. Their arms are these withered wings as if they used to be able to fly but forgot how. They smell like asphalt. Becky said to me, she's just better at noticing these things, that when they walk in the street, they stare up at the sky like they're worried because there's nothing up there. I saw one yesterday scratching at a tree. It had these stubby claws. It seemed relieved to be under the canopy, but it was waiting to feed. Becky said she heard they lived underground and migrated up through the crust. It was an NPR article she heard, but I can see them down there. Caves and volcanoes, hot slime, not much to eat. Maybe that's why they're so hungry. I crossed the road because the old woman who lives in the blue house, she needed food. She put a candle in the window, and that was our signal. But when I got there, the candle was out and the door was open. I heard rustling inside and the vulture came out, and I pressed myself flat against the wall in the alley, hoping that it wouldn't see me. And for a moment, its milky eyes turned in my direction, and I had nowhere to hide. Nothing to run into except a dead chain-link bench, and its stomach gurgled as it digested. And for that moment, in the glow of its most recent meal, it didn't want me. I survived. They never lied about what they wanted. As far as we know, they don't have language and they don't communicate. They eat, they play with their food sometimes like sticky children. They rock on their haunches like hot dog eating contestants, stacking all the meat into their gullets. They have to make room for more. They're confused by class. They can sort of unlock doors, but they're usually too lazy to try, and they avoid children, but they love juicy adults. When I first heard about the vultures, I didn't believe it. Becky was the sucker. She went down the rabbit hole. She quoted statistics at me and showed me articles, but I never saw one around here. She wouldn't shut up about it. The vultures are coming. They're already here. They killed my cousin. Well, your cousin's a wimp who can't take care of himself. I got this, Becky. I know how to deal with shit. I have a guy and he could hook me up. I have skills. Just quit bitching at me. And no, I am not going up north and hiding in the woods. I don't want to lock myself inside and hope somebody else is going to take care of me. Some fucking Wizard of Oz is going to appear in a puff of smoke and the vultures are gone. No, I have ammunition and a strong arm, and I'm a good shot. When the first vulture appeared downtown, I heard it was in one of the alleys, and I wanted to get out of the house and fucking do something. Becky didn't want me to go, but what the hell? I was sick of being scolded. Like, she really knows better than me after all these years. You think I'm going to listen to that? I said, screw it. We're loading up. So my buddies and I, we met at the garage. We drove down the parkway with a cooler in the back. We went vulture hunting. The streets were empty. It was hot. Nobody was out cooking, and no vultures. Just another false alarm. So we turned around, went home to crack open a few. We had just put in the new pool. The air was humid. It was a perfect night. And I felt like we had gotten something done walking back from the car with cold blue steel under my arm. And that's when I noticed that the screen was ripped. So I ran inside and Becky was in there and the vulture was on top of her. So I fired at it and its inky flesh absorbed the bullets as it dragged her out screaming. It stumbled against the couch and Becky went limp and I fired again. I hit the damn thing point blank, a heart attack shot, a goddamn kill shot, and it waded through the living room and out the door and onto the lawn where it was easier to take her apart, and I fired until everything went quiet. My gun was empty and my friends were gone. And I sat on the couch with the remote poking into my ass as the vulture worked in silence on our unmowed lawn. I think about it this way. The vultures want to kill themselves because when there's no one left to feed on, they're going to starve to death. And I think they want that. The vultures were born all twisted and wrong because they're always hungry, but they never feel full. What a way to go, to eat your way out. I try that, and I get sick and stop. I'm not built like a vulture, I'm just a body. And our bodies are the only way to kill them.
Performed by Dennis Skiba, who tells us about an author who has his own way of going about writing his great American his great American book, written by Richard Landers. We present to you this system.
Oh, it's working. Oh, hold on. What? Yeah, just leave the bagel by the door, all right? Go away. Oh, wait. I need K-cups. Get me some more K-cups. Okay. You may be wondering why I'm shouting at my wife to a door. I mean, this is not my norm, okay? I mean, Carolyn is a good person and a pretty good wife. I mean, she tries, I know. But she can fall short on the wifely duties, but let's be honest, I'm not perfect either. I mean, this pandemic and my response to it, and as an aside, when I tell you my response, you're going to be amazed. It's changed our lives dramatically. Now, I have to admit that frequently I have occasion to yell at Carolyn, okay? I mean, one reason is we've got this door separating us 24/7. And the other reason is that, well, Carolyn is not that good at following instructions. Anyway, back to the point of this video, okay? The point is my system, all right? The pandemic was the trigger that made me create the system. But the system is not dependent on a pandemic. No. I mean, you could use this system in good times. Yes, you could. But you need to have the cojones to not let anyone stop you, not your spouse, not your kids, not your boss, no one. You can't have anyone stop you. I mean, I'm not saying this is going to be easy or anything, but it's not. But listen, it was a hell of a lot harder for me to do because I didn't have to be the one to create it. All right? Listen, when your spouse objects, and he or she probably will, you can just point to my success and tell him that that's the success that you want. I'm telling you my story so that you too, if you believe that you have a novel in you that's just yearning to get out, well, here's how to do it. So let's get started. Now, about the pandemic. Yes, Yes, it's awful. It's terrible. The whole world is in shock. I mean, I don't have to tell you how bad it is. But I determined that I would use this time to create my novel, and I would do it in weeks. You know, I would not the years that a lot of writers spend on their books. Now, I have to tell you, neither my wife nor I have coronavirus. All right. Carolyn claims that married couples, they don't isolate from each other until one starts having the symptoms. But I said to her, yeah, but by then it's too late. You get the symptoms, and that means you were infected several days earlier. What? What are you doing? Come on, you know I have to keep on a schedule here. What? No, you want to come in and talk? No way. Absolutely not. I don't want anyone in here until the book is finished. You have something to say, I don't care. Just shout it through the door. Okay, fine. Once you'll be at 1:30 instead of 12:30 so your soap opera can be over with. Oh, God. You know, you'd think she would have figured out how to DVR something by now. I mean, I like to have lunch before noon, but her crush on Andrew Cuomo, that's messed up that hour. And asking to come in here, I mean, what's that all about? She knows the rules. Geez, when I started this, I didn't realize I was going to have to lock the door. But here's what's so great. I'm writing the book that I've been putting off for years. My plan is to write a novel in record time. I mean, no more than 5 or 6 weeks, maybe less. See, the key to my plan is that I'm totally isolated. I'm lucky that my house, it happens to have a master bedroom suite on the first floor that we use as a den, and another one on the second floor. I took the one on the first floor, and it has everything I need. Well, that's if Carolyn can hold up her end of the bargain as far as food and drink. So listen, I can work on this thing like 12 hours a day, 16 hours. Hell, I can work on it for 20 if I want to sleep for 4. I've sped up the whole process. Another great thing is I didn't even have to kick Carolyn out of our bedroom. Now, I understand most people don't have 2 master suites, so this may be a bit more difficult for you, but you can do it. Just avoid sharing a bathroom. All right. I mean, speaking of bathrooms, I've discovered that taking a shower every day is actually a cultural artifact. I mean, there's really no need to do it, and not doing it saves you even more time to write. So when I started this, I showered maybe every 2 or 3 days. Now I'm down to once a week. Yeah. And I don't change my clothes. I mean, I got my sweatpants. I got my underpants. I got t-shirts. I got everything. That's all I need. Well, after the first 2 weeks, I threw them all out the door and told Carolyn to wash them. She took her sweet time about it. I had to pester her. To raise the thermostat because I was working naked in here. But see, those are just the kind of obstacles that you're going to run into. I mean, keep your focus on the task and everything will be fine. All right, here's what I did. I first spent 2 weeks imagining the world of my novel, getting inside my characters' heads, coming up with their feelings, their thoughts, revealing their souls, their inner worries, their conceits. It's like method acting. In fact, it's almost the same thing, but instead of becoming one character, I became the god of all of them. I know what they're thinking. I know what they're going to say and do before they know it or do it. I know how they think. I know how to react in any situation. Yes, I am their God. Forsake all false images. I am the one. And then I started writing. Well, listen, the work is going great, but I admit that Carolyn, she's had some problems. I mean, she didn't see the point of all this really, but her role was very simple. Provide 3 meals a day, snacks, an occasional bottle of scotch, and lots of coffee. I mean, that's it. And, we communicate, we text, we did FaceTime once. Oh, she insisted. Boy, that was weird. I happened to be in my mountain man phase that week. I hadn't shaved since I started. Yeah, she didn't care for that look. Anyway, listen to this. She's even resorted to sending nude selfies. Yes, I admit, I was tempted. But see, but that's the thing. I was determined. I was resolute. I mean, once you're in this system, nothing will stop you. What? What? You're out of coffee pods? Are you nuts? How could you let this happen, Carolyn? All right, you're going to have to go out and get some this afternoon. What do you mean unfair? Geez, I left you the French press. That makes much better coffee. Anyway, the key is to be true to your book and to follow my system. Give yourself the space and the time to work. Shut your door. Shut down your spouse, your friends, your boss. Follow your dream. Oh, shoot. I gotta go. This is all the time that I can give to this video. You know, hey, page 2 isn't gonna write itself, you know. Listen, take care and God bless.
Maybe it's me, but I suspect if he's only showering once a week and changing clothes just as often, there's a reason that the door is closed. Anyway, moving on to a piece entitled Shakespeare in Quarantine. It's written and performed by Janice Waltz.
Go ahead, Janice.
Okay, to be or not to be, that is the question, but not for this time. To be quarantined or not to be quarantined, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of wearing goofy-looking masks, or suffer the outrageous misfortune of catching the COVID-19 disease, or to take arms against a sea of officials who have kept society shuttered, and by opposing them, open the closed doors of shops and restaurants. To vegetate, to work no more. And by work no more, we say that we end the heartache of the daily toil and the 1,000 natural shocks that work is heir to, like people who don't social distance and customers who don't wear a mask and then sneeze and cough right in your face. To collect unemployment insurance. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To vegetate. To binge watch. To binge watch, perchance to dream of catching up on all the series and movies that you've missed out on. Oh, but there's the rub. For in this binge watching, what dreams of jobs may come when we have shuffled off the optimism of a future that this mortal coil might acquire, must give us pause and lead us directly to the kitchen to add another layer of fat to the mortal coil. There's the respect for this deadly disease that makes calamity of so long a sheltered and confined life. For who would bear the verbal whips of others for not wearing a mask? Or the oppressor's false statements that confuse us as to the right path to take. The proud man's constant blame laying on others. The pang of distant love. The law's delay of your unemployment insurance check. The insolence of officials in high places. And the spurns that patient nurses and doctors bear from politicians eager to open every business right now, when he himself his quiet exit might make with a bare face in a crowd of untested protesters. And who would bundles of groceries bear to grunt and sweat near a hot flame, preparing sustenance for their weary life, but that the dread of something after death, like unfortunately thousands of others have experienced, that undiscovered country, the length of time of immunization for the people who have contracted the disease, whose grip upon the breath few travelers return from, puzzles the will. It makes us rather bear those ills we have at home than fly to the others that we know not fully, even with good science. Thus, conscience and governmental orders makes cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution to rebel and to be free is sickled over with that pale cast of the thought of the death of loved ones, and enterprises of great pitch and moment in theater and in business. With this regard, their lively currents dwindle and lose the name of action for safety's sake.
In a piece written by Benita Zahn, we get to hear what it's like to be considered essential. Here we present to you Zoom Zoom.
Zoom, zoom. 20 years ago, that was the hook, the phrase you remembered from a Mazda commercial. Zoom, zoom. It's how they were selling a car, excitement, a journey, a destination. Today, it's kind of the tagline to my life. Zoom, zoom. While most of the country, heck, the world, is on pause to get through the pandemic, I'm doing Zoom, zoom, literally and figuratively. I'm not staying home. I'm an essential worker. I hate that phrase. It makes it sound as if I'm somehow more important than the teacher who's not considered as an essential worker in these strange times. I'm a journalist. Some of you probably despise my ilk. Well, zoom, zoom. I'd be happy to quickly send you away. But instead, I zoom, zoom every day. I get up, I get dressed, hair and makeup, but no heels. Hey, it's only fair because you're sitting home in sweats, so no heels. And since there's less traffic on the road because you're all home, I get to zoom, zoom on my way into work. And when I get there, I zoom, zoom, literally. And no longer do I go out on a story. Oh, it's not because I'm an essential worker. No, it's to reduce the risk for infection because I'm of an age and I had a bout of cancer a year ago. So I zoom. Some days I zoom, zoom. That's how I conduct interviews. Not that they're fast, not that kind of Zoom. Rather, the option of speaking with someone who may or may not be essential, but is essential to my story via the magic of the internet. Zoom. Work's become busier than ever. In a sense, it's Zooming. I have no idea why, but it is. Perhaps it's self-imposed, as if because I'm essential, I must do more than I've ever done before. Zoom, Zoom. The staff's been spread out in the newsroom. I'm working at a colleague's desk to keep that 6-foot social distance between me and my nearest coworker. I come into the newsroom and I head for the Clorox wipes. Yes, we have a small supply and we watch it like hawks. No one's allowed near if they don't work in the newsroom. Zoom, Zoom. I wipe down my desk, my phone, my keyboard, the arms of the chair, and then I repeat that on my real desk because the odds are I'll need something from that space. Zoom, Zoom. Work's awaiting. And when you Zoom an interview, you're responsible for more of the technical work. And if I Zoom from home, I have to track my own script, email it to the producer. Zoom, Zoom, the clock is ticking. And in the studio, I no longer stand next to my co-anchor, 6 feet. Remember? And I prepare dinner before heading to work. So I'm doing Zoom, Zoom in the kitchen. The only thing that's not Zoom, Zoom right now is my foot speed while running. Perhaps it's because I'm zoomed out. But I'm essential, so I have to keep going. Even being at work is odd. Not nearly as social as usual. Much of the staff is not allowed into the newsroom. They each work from their own car, the photographer and reporter. A team assigned since all this started. Assignments made, Zoom, Zoom. And I can tell you, whenever somebody calls out, you immediately wonder if it's that. But Zoom, Zoom, you put that out of mind. There's work to be done. I'm pressed into service, me and my cell phone. I even write my own commercial and video it as well. Zoom, Zoom, we became the scriptwriter, camera person, lighting designer. And of course, with everybody at home, my inbox is brimming with email, even the ones that want to make you say, to the moon, Zoom, Zoom. How did you get to the salon when we all have to stay home? The viewer writes in her email. Really? That's what's on your mind? People are dying. Oh, right. You're Zoom, Zoom. Yes, you're in such a rush to nowhere that little things loom large. If someone seems to get an inch more than you in this shrunken world, there must be a gimmick, some payoff, an angle. No one does my hair except me every day, and makeup while you're at home. Painting walls, redecorating, cooking at your leisure, reading, walking, whatever. I'm doing my makeup and hair. I am not complaining. I'm blessed. I'm vertical and getting a paycheck. And yes, I'm sorry that your son, daughter can't play their final game on their high school field, but worthy of a story? Nah, that's Zoom, Zoom easy to respond to. Not gonna happen, I kindly reply. Kindness is king now because things can get out of hand, Zoom, Zoom fast. Everybody is ready to take umbrage. Emotions run high. We're not used to being socially distanced. We can't hug friends, hold newborns, comfort the sick and dying. That's something we Zoom, Zoom learn to dislike. And shopping? I sure learned Zoom, Zoom how to order for delivery. And Zoom, Zoom, I happily tip those who are out there doing my gathering. But I want to touch my goods. Does that sound wrong? Oh, snap, Zoom, Zoom. How about a giggle now and then? In some odd way, though, I'm starting to get used to this new way of doing business. Adjust or come undone, I suppose. There's a lot of that happening. Emotional health slipping, Zoom, Zoom. And as reopening picks up steam, I wonder, how will we manage when everyone returns? Will we adjust? Zoom, zoom? Oh, some want it the way it was, zoom, zoom. Others say, take your time, be safe. Meanwhile, I wonder, how did we ever manage before zoom, zoom? We called, we wrote, we visited. We rushed, but we didn't zoom, zoom. Remember that car ad, all that zooming? In the end, they left it in park. Turns out, it wasn't essential.
In a piece written and performed by Tara Rule, we give you a different perspective on loneliness. Here we present to you A Life on Pause.
It's quiet, too quiet. Too quiet inside, too quiet outside. There are things in the house, but the house feels empty. Empty things in an empty house. A house isn't a home when you're alone as much as I am. But I suppose I shouldn't complain. There are others who aren't so lucky. At least I have a house to be alone in. I have food, I have water, I have shelter. I can't imagine what it'd be like to be without those things. I know it must be hell. Despite knowing that, a selfish part of me envies those unfortunate others right now. I know they're trapped in so many ways, but they have something I crave. The freedom of the outdoors. As much as I want to go outside, I know it's not allowed. I'm told it's not safe by others who probably know a lot better than I do. I'm told it's too dangerous out there. But lately I've been thinking about just going out and doing what I want despite what I've been told. But those thoughts are fleeting because I remember the ones who tell me to stay inside the most. And I think of how devastated they would be if something were to happen to me. So I stay inside. And I have some things to keep me occupied, but loneliness takes the joy out of a lot of things. I sleep a lot, I pace a lot, I look out the window a lot. Sometimes I see others, but they're on the other side of a screen. And it's nice for a moment, but it's not the same. It's not the same as feeling another's touch, hearing their voice, smelling their smells. It just feels like they're really far away. I honestly don't even know how long it's been that I've been alone. One moment just kind of bleeds into the next. It's really hard to tell how much time has passed when you're alone. I felt sick the other day. This is going to sound awful, I know, but part of me enjoyed it because it gave me a reprieve from being alone. Next thing I knew, I was riding in the car. The person next to me wore a mask on their face and gloves on their hands, and I almost didn't recognize them. What I did recognize was the sadness in their eyes. It was the person I love. We drove in silence for a long time, and I must have drifted off at some point. When I woke up, the car was stopped. A stranger with a mask and plastic all over their body spoke through a little tiny crack in the driver's side window. Before I could even tell what was being said, I was being carried away by two people dressed in plastic. I cried and I screamed and I called out to the person I love, and they sat in the car. They were crying too, but I was being taken God knows where by God knows who, and the person I love did nothing. Even if it wasn't easy for them, they still did nothing. It didn't take me long to figure out where I was. There were doctors all around me. I was terrified. I felt so sick. Why was I alone? And where was the person I love? One of the doctors was on the phone, and I could hear the person I love on the other end of the line, and they were still crying too. And then one of the doctors came out at me with a needle, and then everything went black. That was the other day. I do feel much better today, and I'm happy to be home. I can call it home now because I'm not alone. The person I love is always with me, and without the loneliness, I don't really care as much about whether or not I can go outside. The only downside is these nasty pills I have to take twice a day. They're bitter and disgusting, but I'm not feeling sick anymore, so I guess I shouldn't complain. There are others who aren't so lucky. And the person I love paces around a lot. They look out the window a lot. Sometimes they talk to people on the other side of the screen, but it's a different kind of screen. They talk to others through this little electronic screen, and they say it's just not the same as seeing them in real life. Today, the person I love told a person on the other side of the small electronic screen that I got sick from eating their favorite plant, but that I was going to be okay. The person inside the electronic screen said that everyone in the world right now is kind of like me, kind of like a house cat, because everyone's life is on pause. The person I love doesn't have pause like I do, so I didn't get it, but it made the person I love laugh a lot. The person I love wants to go outside too, but they say that now it's not safe for them to go outside either. The person I love told me they didn't realize how much time they spent away from home because they were always at work. They said that one day kind of just bled into the next. They told me felt like forever when they were waiting out in the parking lot while I was in the veterinarian's office. And I told them that it felt like forever when I had to wait for them to get home from work. A lot of times when I talk to the person I love, I don't feel like they can understand me, but today they did. They told me that after all this is over, they're going to work from home so that I won't be alone. I don't know what this is, but it seems like they want it to be over soon. They told me they were sorry for not going into the veterinarian's office with me, but that they weren't allowed to go inside because it was too dangerous. They told me that they could get sick too, but that there wasn't a big nasty pill to fix it yet. So now I'm sitting in the lap of the person I love next to the window, purring away. A few minutes ago, the person I love told me that they might get sad or angry, bored. They said they might even get scared sometimes too. They told me that everyone else all around the world might feel those feelings from time to time. The person I love told me that as long as everyone has someone they love to lean on, that the world will get through this. Like I said, I still don't know exactly what this is, but they told me that as long as we have each other, everything will be okay.
Now we have a piece entitled The Old Folks at Home, a Coronavirus Monologue, written and performed by Dan Smurlock.
You know, if you had told me back in January that I'd be stuck at home for most of the year and you hadn't told me why, I would have welcomed the possibility. At last, I've said, I can sit down and write. But write what? Turns out I'm not imaginative enough to write fiction. I don't have enough good ideas to write essays, so maybe I'll write a memoir, just like everybody else. Two problems. First of all, it turns out that I'm really pretty uninteresting, even to myself. Second, I don't remember anything. You know those memoirs that wax descriptive for pages and pages, like my father stood just under 6 feet, but his erect military carriage made him seem taller than most other men. His long, slender, elegant fingers seemed always to be gripping a Winston cigarette. His aquiline nose could seem ethnic or aristocratic, depending upon the repose of the rest of his face. His blue-green eyes were flecked with gold and seemed to change color in the bright light. And on and on and on. Here's what I came up with. My father was tall. He was bald and wore glasses. Pretty sure his eyes were brown. Went to work in the morning, he came home at night. I really never understood exactly what he did for a living. Occasionally, he'd take me to a baseball game. He was a nice guy. That's it. So much for writing. So what else am I doing? Well, my wife and I are stuck at home and stuck with each other even more than usual. Can't go to the gym, can't go to the theater, can't visit friends, can't travel, can stand only so much CNN horror watching together. Don't really like the same books or movies or TV shows or God knows the same music. If enemy agents ever want me to betray my country, all they have to do is lock me in a room for about 20 minutes with Bohemian Rhapsody on continuous play. And if I know the nuclear codes, I will reveal them as long as they stop. So what can we do together, we wondered. We hadn't played a board game in 30 years, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So we got out the only one we own, which is Clue. You probably know how it's played. You try to deduce which of 6 people used which of 6 weapons in which of 9 rooms to kill a guy. About 300 possibilities in all. We played a game, took half an hour, she won, felt no particular desire to play it again, but then my wife came up with a fantastic idea, 3-dimensional Clue. Instead of 3 separate piles of cards, you shuffle them all together. Boom, 9,000 possibilities, many of them fascinating to contemplate. So that, for example, you could have the living room use Colonel Mustard to kill the lead pipe. Now we play half an hour every day. That's our together time. We aren't even near the end of the first game. This is going to be our together time until either the lockdown is over or they carry us out horizontally, whichever happens last. It's not that I absolutely never go out. Once a week at dawn, I join the other old people for senior shopping hour at the supermarket. Everybody masked to the eyeballs, often gloved, as interchangeable and anonymous as potatoes with legs. And we're all doing the senior shopping ballet, where you get to the end of the store or near the end of the store, you realize you forgot something at the beginning of the store, so you leave your cart where it is and you walk back to the beginning of the store, dodging those goddamn motorized carts, and hope that the thing that you want isn't on an aisle that you have to go up the next aisle to go back down. I went shopping the other day, got almost to the end, realized I forgot something towards the beginning, left my cart where it was, walked back to the other side of the store. By the time I got there, I had forgotten what it was I forgot. So I walked back to find my card and the shopping list that I had left with it. I get to where I thought the cart was, it's not there. Where is it? I look up one aisle, I look down another aisle, can't find it. Finally, I come to an aisle, there's a cart, great. Facing the wrong way on a particular one-way aisle. I go to the cart. For some reason or other, I do not turn it around. Instead, I start backing it up. A moment later, a woman comes up next to me, tosses a bottle of bleach in the cart, looks up at me soulfully and says, "I can't wait to get you home and fuck you." My first thought is, why did this never happen to me in my 20s? And as I'm flipping through my mental Rolodex of possible responses, guy comes walking up behind us, a little bit agitated. He's wearing the same coat I'm wearing, looks kind of like me from the eyebrows up. And he says to me, "I think you got my cart." Look down. Yeah, sure enough. So I give the guy a thumbs up, tell the bleach lady I'll take a rain check, go look for my cart, and start the whole process over again. When I get home, I unload the groceries and make sure I wipe them down, the vegetables down with Lysol. And then I sit down with a hard copy of the local paper like I do every day. And I know how pathetic that is, especially since I read the news online the night before, but it's an old habit. When I was a kid, I used to turn first to the sports pages, but there aren't any sports pages anymore because there aren't any sports. And like I said, I read the news last night. So I always now turn first to the obituaries. I have become a connoisseur of obituaries. I told my wife, I really don't care what you say about me after I'm dead, but I do care how you say it. So I've got a couple of requests. First of all, please do not begin the obituary with, "It is with great sadness that I announce the death of David Stone." If you want to say, "I'm sad to announce the death of David Stone," go ahead. But if not, if you really have to use the passive voice, do it with a little flair. So, for example, "It is with profound ambivalence that I announce the death of David Stone," or even, I don't care, "It is with immoderate glee that I announce the death of David Stone." Second request, please, under no circumstances, do not indicate that I have died only after a courageous struggle with whatever the hell winds up killing me. Because as you know, it's not going to be. Be creative. Maybe something like, after a futile, pusillanimous, craven, sniveling, terrified, and ultimately futile effort. Something like that. That will be closer to the truth. Finally, I really don't care what you do with my body after I'm gone. Burn it, freeze it, embalm it, give it to the buzzards, whatever feels right to you. But if it's all the same to you, I want to be buried, because then I get a gravestone and I know exactly what I want my epitaph to say. You have often pointed out that my favorite activity in life is correcting people when they're wrong, especially when they don't care. So, in keeping with that, here is the inscription I want. Epicenter doesn't mean what you think it means. It means the exact fucking opposite. And then my legacy will be assured.
Before we move on, let me remind everybody that all of your contributions to tonight's fundraiser not only helps the Schenectady Civic Players, but also the Hamilton Hill Arts Center. So please feel free to contribute, and you're helping two parties with one. Now we move on to a piece entitled All the Rage, written and performed by Stephen Hennell.
You know, I've never been one for questions. I've always been more of an exclamation point kind of guy. You know what I mean? But all this confinement, this quiet, this isolation, I just can't help get one or two of them buzzing around my head like flies. And maybe you can help me out with some answers, because there's a few things I'd really like to know. Things like, oh, I don't know, why the fuck did you lock me up in here? Question mark. Now, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt here. I owe you that much. So go ahead. Sell me something. Sell me an excuse. What, was it a case of mistaken identity? There's a lot of people out there calling me hate, but that's not my name. There's a lot of weaselly little shits out there calling me incivility, but that's not my name. You know it's not. You look in my eyes and you know goddamn well who I am. You know my name. Remember when we were in grade school and a couple of kids were calling you a name that you definitely did not want to be called? Who got them to stop, huh? Who had your back? Who showed those punks the stove was hot? Little on me, that's who. This is the thanks that I get. What, was it because of what I almost said to your neighbor Hank? Man, fuck that racist asshole and fuck anyone making excuses for him. You should have listened to me. You're making a big mistake here. I know you're just trying to save face, but it's a waste of time. It was never me making you look bad. You never needed my help for that. Oh, but while you were so concerned of what people might think of you if they ever saw you with me, you never once stopped to consider what they think of you now. Now that you've got me locked up in here. And sure, they think you're weak, but that's not the worst of it. Sure, they think you're stupid, but that's not the worst of it either. No, the worst of it is that they think you're complicit. And you know something? They're right. You could be forgiven for not sticking up for yourself. That's your choice. But when you see your friends and family and neighbors being talked about like they're garbage, like they're nothing, and you just hem and haw and you go along to get along because you got to maintain that harmony, right? You're not looking for trouble, right? And sure, Hank says a lot of racist things, but gosh, it would just kill your wife if there was one less dipshit mouth to feed at the next HOA potluck. You know, guys like Hank, they got names for me too. And they got really special names for me when I'm with other people. People who don't have what you have. People who can't just decide that they don't want trouble because they were born into it. And they use these names to take me away from the people who need me the most. They use these names to shame them. Oh, don't be so thuggish, they say. Oh, don't be hysterical, they say. Oh, don't be a fiery one of these people, they say. Don't be a bitchy one of those people, they say. And these are not my names. Do you know who I am? I am the secret name of the fire that Prometheus stole from the gods, and that name is anger. I am the forgotten forge of creation. Do you think that any great change happens in this world without me? People call me ugly, and it is an insult to the beauty that I inspire. Every single one of Mozart's symphonies started with crumpled up pieces of sheet paper and Austrian profanities. And why? Because he was angry at a world where the beauty that he could see in his mind did not yet exist. That is where art comes from, and that is where justice comes from. So whenever someone convinces you to lock me up, remember, they are stealing the fire that makes you a god. Don't let them take that away from you. Will you be a just God? Will you be a vengeful God? Well, that's up to you. But don't let them take that away from you. And don't let those frauds take it away from the people who need it the most. You let them be angry and allow it to make you angry too. You just can't help getting burned in this world. If the fire doesn't burn you, then the coldness will. So you might as well shine a light.
From an intense piece, we will try and move quietly into a piece written by Michael McDermott, performed by Connie Rowe Rawhauser, in a piece called A Pandemic Call.
Hello. Well, now this is a surprise. I think the last time you called me was Christmas of 2018. Well, you know, your brother talks to me every day. Yes, I know he lives with us, but that is not the point. And anyways, how has your week been? Yeah, the same here. We loved it at first. The just being together, no outside pressures, no running to after work meetings or rehearsals. But now it's getting a little challenging. I hate trying to make dinner with just a few things on hand, waiting for the next grocery delivery from Walmart. It's a big challenge. Okay, you got me there. Yes, we do have a bunker full of survivalist food in the basement, but I would not call us hoarders per se. Maybe just conservative preparers. And while, yes, there is enough food in the pantry and the freezer to feed us for 3 or 4 months, I don't think that's out of the ordinary for a professional project planner. I mean, it's a work skill that I've adapted to fit our home. But seriously, talking about hoarders, don't even let me get me started on your father. He has a hidden toilet paper stash. I swear, every time we get a delivery of groceries, he sneaks in another 18-count package into the cart without me knowing it. And we always have the same delivery guy who knows it's just the 3 of us here. I'm sure he thinks I'm a horrible cook giving everyone gastrointestinal issues after every meal. True. Your father does have a kind of survivalist mindset when he gets focused on things like this. And Lord, don't even attempt to tell him that we have enough toilet paper on hand. It gets him as riled up as the time the two of you were attempting to move into that 3-story walk up. Yes. Overall, I'm doing fine. Work is certainly keeping me going without any kind of stop, which I love, of course. And I have to tell you, I don't really see any need to ever go back to the office. I just love working from home. Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I know it's really hard for you now being out of work. I know that your father and brother and I are blessed that we have jobs where we can work from home. I know it's hard. With the school closed, I can't imagine. And there's no word on any tutoring possibilities with the kids? They still haven't processed your unemployment? What's it been, 2 months already? Oh, I'm so sorry. Your aunt just sent you a couple $100. Dad and I'll do the same this week. It's so hard. So many people out of work up and down the street. And I see half of the neighborhood is they're unemployed. Your friends that work in restaurants here, I don't think they'll ever go back. Well, yes, I am keeping busy besides work. I think you're going to love this. I know that we lost the rest of the shows this season at the theater, so I've had all this free time. And since I wasn't designing costumes, and the rest of the theaters also started canceling too, so guess what? No, I didn't start drinking full time, although, well, maybe a little. But that's not the point. The point is that I got everyone organized. I got the rest of the costume designers in the area together, online, of course, and we all got focused on making masks. Oh, no, not Lion King masks, surgical masks, for people to protect themselves and to protect others. As you know, we can't buy surgical masks since they were all swooped up once the pandemic started. No, that's not correct. They did say that the mask can't protect you from breathing in the airborne particles, but that is not the point. That's right. The point is it helps you catch your breath, what you're expelling, and it helps contribute to less virus droplets being expelled in the air. Well, I'm sure you know Carol, with her degree from Google Search University, has some strong opinions on this, but some we need to listen to science here. And isn't Carol the one that dragged everyone to the protest on the 5G towers and how the government was using them for mind control techniques and some master plan? Okay, I'm just saying everyone should listen to Dr. Fauci instead of a self-appointed expert from Trump University. Thanks, I thought that was funny too. Oh, but as I was telling your father, if all we had to do was drink bleach and stick a fluorescent light up our butts, our insurance would be a hell of a lot cheaper. Why am I doing this? Son, I'm not really drinking bleach. Oh, the math, yeah. Well, I just felt so helpless watching all of this around us, not being able to see your sisters or your nieces, not being able to help Stacy with her mom in the nursing home, not being able to even go to a soup kitchen or a fundraiser or even to protest against something when all this was happening. And then I saw this thing on Facebook where these women in Pennsylvania, they were sending homemade masks to the healthcare workers, ones that they could use outside of the surgical masks they were wearing during the day. But since the supplies were low, they had to make do with one masks for an entire week. And even I thought I can do that. I'm up to making about 300 so far. Well, I've been making them for our friends, especially the ones that work in retail or the ones that have more vulnerable family members. Yours, kiddo, are in the mail this week. Yes, and then Sam is delivering them to the first responders, and Sheila's been going to Joann's for fabric and elastic. Oh, don't even talk to me about elastic. It's one of the new hot commodities like flour, toilet paper, elastic, Clorox wipes. Yeah, it does wipe me out. That's right. No more than doing a show. But you know what? It is different. It's just different feeling like we, all of us, we're part of something bigger. You know, when the richest country in the world cannot figure out how to get a 75-cent mask to everyone that needs one, and here we are able in our basements and attics sewing all night to help. It feels like we're part of something bigger. I know what you're saying. Why do a bunch of seamstresses in our small town have to band together and do this? But it doesn't matter. We're doing it because we need to. They need us. We can and we will make a difference. Son, if there is anything I ever taught you that I want you to remember every day, it's this. Working together, we can make anything happen. It's when we become focused on just our own needs that the things fall apart. I do feel a change is coming, one I can be part of. Well, yes, partly it is the vodka talking. Well, but then again, even June Cleaver had a little nip before word got home. Thank you. Thank you for calling me. I needed this. I am so worried about you, about your brother, our neighborhood, but please know that I'm here for you. And don't forget, I have many recipes involving vodka. Now let me go because this fabric I have here is not going to sew itself. I love you, Brandon. I miss you. Stay safe.
Written and performed by Melissa Hughes, we now have a piece on self-reflection in isolation entitled Literally Quarantined.
It was supposed to be 2 weeks. That's it. And then we'd be back in the same old place, same old routines, same old faces. I didn't even get to say goodbye to them. The ending anticlimactic. And now I find myself with nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to be. I've got to stop being so melodramatic. But I am so done with this. I have been staring at the same walls, the same street. God, 20 years on this street. Everything is so static, so stuck in time. How does it end? Am I in a self-made prison? Is all this real? Did I make it all up? Am I once again lying curling, fetal positioned in my mind? Oh God, living in a make-believe world? I can't do this anymore. I need people, crowds, people. Even the students rolling their eyes with those exasperated sighs. Even the ill-mannered sniping in the break room. And the gossip. Those stories about Ms. Turini making her way through all the single men in the English department, and maybe even a few not so single. How do I reconcile my longing for that world, for what I thought I despised before? And then there are the children. And Henry, dear, sweet, amazing, idiotic dud. Oh, they're all here. Every single lovable, annoying, feral, inconsiderate, clingy, needy, idealistic one of them. Oh, Jesus, I just need a friend. One friend. A glass of wine. 1 hour. One family-free, pet-free, beautiful hour. Is that too much to ask? I've just been in this house hearing those same voices for way too long. Mom, where's the remote? Mom, tell Jackie to stop stealing my sweater. Lucy's jumping on us. Honey, Deanna, I'm out of shaving cream. You want to play Boggle or Scrabble tonight? You look enticing. And that is supposed to lead to the bedroom. He says it every Tuesday after 10. Listen, yes, of course I love them. I gave vows. I gave birth. 118 hours of combined, I gave birth. But, you know, the world seemed happier then, fuller. I was ready to leap at all it gave. I had faith that there'd be more than this. And now that I'm willing to jump for it, to leap, I'm stuck, literally quarantined. But then again, I've been self-quarantining my entire life. in the soft cocoon of the Dud's arms, safe but dull, in the euphoric haze of motherhood, with a purpose, in the chalk dust filled, now technologically buzzing world of teaching, where I was. No, I am the all-knowing facilitator. I put myself in boxes, and I filled those boxes with meticulous planning. I planned myself into a corner. But that's what I wanted, right? This life, to be safe, to have a purpose, to have this life. I always wanted time to spend with the kids, more time. I wanted to be able to grow old with my husband and enjoy it. I wanted to do all those cliche things that people tell you you're supposed to do. Time moves so quickly. Enjoy it. Slow down. But this is too slow. And no one else in this house is going as slow. Those kids, they're like Tasmanian devils on speed. They're rolling around, eating everything, breaking things. And Henry, he just takes it all in stride, smiling his indulgent smile, encouraging their fun, while I sit here buried in the mundane. It's insane, like a crane, inane, insane in the membrane. Oh, Dr. Seuss, reel it in now. I need that excitement again. I need the static, ice-jammed stream of my life to start flowing again. This glitch, this pause, it needs to mean something. Something has to come of it, something good, something right. It has to have a meaning, a defining moment. I just, something good. And I can't be this. It can't just be we stop and then we go back to where we left off. I don't want to go back to where I left off. I want life to be happier, fuller, somehow different. I want the ruby slippers. But, oh. Wait, what? Did you say dog? Walk? Shower? Oh, a skunk again? You're freaking kidding me. Well, never a dull moment. And Henry, after I fix this and then I shower, I'll be enticing. After all, it is Tuesday.
The next piece, written and performed by David E. Rook, is pretty self-explanatory. It's entitled, Stay the Fuck Home.
The pandemic arrived slowly, then all at once. I walked into my colleague's office. I'm going home for the day. He replied, we all are. The governor just sent all non-essential businesses home. Holy shit. We were actually shutting down. As I left the parking garage for home, I thought, liquor store. I bought a lot, several 3-liter boxes of wine, a supersized bottle of bourbon, and a good bottle of single malt scotch. I wondered to Ellen, maybe I should have bought more. She replied, liquor stores are listed as essential businesses. The first good news of the lockdown. My daughter, working a critical care unit, told me the medical news was grim and this was going to be bad and get a lot worse. On Monday, she added a banner to her profile photo. Inspired, I changed mine too, adding the banner, stay the fuck home. Over the weekend, friends on Facebook had gleefully posted photos from empty bars and restaurants, people bounding about. All kinds of group projects kept going, people posting, what's the big deal? We can still get together. Stay home if you feel ill. I'm thinking, no, stay the fuck home. A plain, clear, concise, pithy, declarative instruction. Stay the fuck home. No thought required, but it drew some reaction. I suppose it could have been stay home with an apostrophe, but who cares about apostrophes? People apostrophize everything. Fuck is a great apostrophe. It adds a special emphasis. And I use fuck judiciously. For example, if during a conversation I say to you, go fuck yourself, you can presume we've reached a critical juncture. Profile banners started getting sweeter. Stay home, save lives. A call to conscientiousness rather than a simple directive. And after a week, I took my stay the fuck home banner down. People were starting to stay home a lot by then. And with time, today, people are saying, I'm so over it. And they're getting out to be with people for both noble and mundane reasons. And the virus never cared and doesn't care today about our wishes and desires and fears and lonelinesses. Like the unwanted fellow traveler on a plane, the virus is still here. And so, as life permits, I'll stay the fuck home.
Before we move on, I just want to give two quick reminders. One, we have our fundraiser that helps not only Schenectady Civic players, but the Hamilton Hill Arts Center. So please contribute as much as you can to help both organizations. And two, after the final scene, we'll be having a Q&A sessions with anybody who wants to be involved. Now, being performed by Laura Graver, she is doing a piece written by J.J. Buckner called Dear Diary.
May 21st, 2020. Dear Diary, here we are. State is reopening. I'm sorry I haven't written since the lockdown started. I work from home. What could I possibly write about? It's been rough, but I managed to get to this point somehow. I guess I should fill you in on what happened after March 14th. You know me better than anyone. We've been friends since the 90s. This is what I was waiting for. I'm a 90s kid. We worked our whole life to stay home and not see people. We were those weird kids sitting in a coffee shop, smoking clove cigarettes and reading books that no one ever heard of. I look back at those moments and I realize I was never smoking alone. I had friends with me, the same friends who sat with me at Denny's, drinking unlimited coffee while we studied for an exam we had the next day. 6 of us sitting there drinking 5 pots of coffee and smoking 10 packs of cigarettes. Leaving Denny's at 5 a.m., we all said, send my beeper a message that you got home. We got home at 6 a.m., went to bed, woke up at 7 to get to our exam at 7:30. We all failed. But did we? I'll never get that time back in my life again. We all thought we were the generation that didn't care, but we were also going to change the world. We were the dial-up generation that knew this thing called the internet was going to shake things up. 6 friends, all alike, but so different. Dear Diary, I know you're wondering why I'm bringing up the past. I have a point, and I will get there. Just bear with me. During this quarantine, I thought about the night every day. I sit in my living room every day, working from home. I hate my job, but I'm lucky to have one. I complain about my hair, even though my boyfriend still looks at me like the night he met me. I work 9 to 5, and at 5, I pour myself a glass of wine, I stream Netflix, go to bed, and then the next day I start it all over again. It's ironic. The girl who had blue hair in 1996 and had dreams of opening an art gallery now works a corporate job and worries about her retirement. That 19-year-old girl is not me. How did I get here? I know, dear diary, I'm getting there. I had 6 amazing friends, and I only talk to 2 of them now. I'm the only one who stayed in New York, but thanks to Zoom, I get to see the 2 of them twice a week during quarantine. It makes me sad, but does anyone really talk to their friends from college? I did talk to 3, but then my friend Bobby and I had a falling out in 2016. I don't really need to write about why. So many people lost friends in 2016. I would have never thought that sitting at that Denny's that Bobby and I would part ways over something so stupid. I can't fault him for his views. You become a product of your environment. So Stacy and Jen are helping me get through quarantine. It's strange that we sit there twice a week drinking wine, complaining about trivial things. Stacy was the biggest hippie. Now complains that her CEO husband works from home and she had to fire her nanny. Jen and her wife run a startup company, which, to be honest, I never really understood, but they're now upset because nothing is starting up right now. I think, how the hell did we get here? I was a bridesmaid at both their weddings. They aren't the girls who sat with me at Denny's. I'm not either. Here we are. New York is reopening and I'm happy. I'm scared, but I'm happy. What's the new normal? I want a day drink at a bar on Sunday, but will it ever be the same? When the governor asked that we wear all, masks, I thought, this is sad, but okay. So I put my running shoes on and walked out my front door. My mask was in my pocket because I was alone. I ran down the street and the light turned green, so I jogged in place. A mother and her child, who had to be maybe 8, were walking towards me. The child had a mask hanging off one ear, and the mother was saying, I know it's scary, but please keep it on. The child kept crying, but the mother kept her calm, and she finally kept it on. She looked up at me with tears running down her face, soaking the mask, and we locked eyes. She waved and walked past. I realized that I had stopped jogging in place and I couldn't breathe. The light turned red and I started jogging again. I was running faster than I ever did. I just kept running until I realized I was crying and I stopped. I didn't know what to do. I heard a voice say, honey, it's okay. We'll get through this. I looked and an old lady was sitting on her stoop. She saw me and took off her mask. She smiled. She said, you keep running. You can't run away from our world right now, but you can still live in it. I said, thank you. I took out my mask, put it on and ran. I never told anyone this. I guess it's easier to talk to you, dear diary. Dear diary, Bobby died yesterday. His wife, Sarah, called me. I couldn't process it. I just kept thinking about my good friend, Marcy, and what she posted on Facebook today. You always think you're going to see someone again. You're sure you'll run into them. You'll say, what are you doing now? But what you really mean is, hey, you are so special. Thank you for all you do and who you are. You are so lovely, but your heart is even more so. Dear diary, thank you for listening. Love the girl sitting at Denny's with her 6 friends.
2 gentle reminders to everybody listening. We have a Q&A after the last performance, which is next, and we appreciate any and all contributions to tonight's performance who will benefit not only Schenectady Civic players, but the Hill Arts players. For our last performance, we have written and performed by Beverly Skoll, a piece entitled COVID Timeline, a Gratitude Journal.
January 1st. A new year. January 1st. A new year. Always a promising time. How come I don't see my video?
You're coming through loud and clear, Beverly. We see you. You look great.
Okay.
Yeah.
January 1st, a new year. Always a promising time. I want to keep a gratitude journal. Cherish all the good things in my life. 2020 is going to be an exceptional year. Several exciting auditions are coming up. A new grandbaby is due in April. I have a milestone birthday this year, and to celebrate, I've booked a long-awaited bucket list trip to walk El Camino in Spain. And of course, there is the presidential election, the results of which will hopefully bring us a much-needed collective sigh of relief. To start off, in a few weeks, Gary and I mark the 38th year of our lives together. Oh yes, life is good. February 23rd, a week in Myrtle Beach, a women's writing retreat. I did not anticipate this when the new year began. I relax, I walk in the sun and write memoirs and do artwork. It's still a bit chilly here, but at least I left the snow behind in New York. Yesterday, I received an email invite to audition for The Cake at Schenectady Civic Playhouse. Oh, I am ecstatic. My acting dream is to do a show there. I'm still getting my morning news fix on MSNBC. Will you look at that? Mayor Pete won the Iowa caucus. I'll vote for him. Americans on the West Coast are starting to die from the coronavirus. Really? That doesn't bode well. In fact, my flight home poses just a bit of corona anxiety for me. In the airport, there are passengers wearing face masks, and my seatmate on the plane is disinfecting her area with Clorox wipes. What the hell is happening? March 13th. Friday the 13th. Apropos for discovering that seniors are at high risk for corona. Yikes, that's us. And there's a case reported at our grandchildren's elementary school. The entire school population has to quarantine at home. The Y is closed, so I'm taking extra long walks in the neighborhood. What seems like dozens of other people are also out, walking, jogging, riding bikes. We are trying to practice social distancing 6 feet apart. It's difficult, compounded by the fact that many just don't seem to know what side of the road to walk on. Oh, and Buttigieg, Klobuchar, and Warren all dropped out of the race over a week ago. Geez, who the hell are we going to vote for? April 23rd. This is my newest granddaughter, Millie. She was born 3 weeks ago at Bellevue. We weren't allowed in the hospital, so I have yet to hug her and gaze into her face. But I have many, many photos of her on my phone. At the market, it freaks me out to see everyone wearing masks. The experience is extremely stressful. The only time I get into my car is to go shopping for groceries. Otherwise, I socialize on Zoom. UU Sunday service on Zoom. Zumba class on Zoom. I'm taking a writing course on Zoom. Connecting with my acting friends on Zoom. We're reinventing theater, staging shows without in-person contact. Isn't it ironic? We used to complain that social media was destroying our up-close and personal interactions. Now, in most cases, it's the only way we can keep in touch. May 2nd. Today's my birthday. I have lived for 70 years. I don't feel old. Sure, my knees ache. I have some arthritis in my fingers, but I don't feel old. Each decade of my life has been monumental, a tribute to a life well lived. But for all I have accomplished, is it enough? I want more time. I want another 30 years, good years, productive and healthy years. What? It's possible. The pandemic will pass eventually, but will life ever be the same? Change would be a good thing, of course. We could see a new wave of social conscience, of respect and love for all people and for our planet. When my life is over, like Emily Webb, I will miss the small things. My morning cup of dark roast, solitary walks, the sun warm on my face, immersing myself in my artwork and in my memoir writing and in a good book. I will miss sitting on the couch with Gary, laughing and reminiscing about the good old days. And most of all, I will miss my grandchildren's sweet faces as they greet me in the driveway when I visit. These are the things that give me comfort and serenity, even in the face of a global pandemic and a constitutional crisis and protesting in the streets. Yes, these are the things I will always be grateful for. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't see myself.
All right, you can keep your video on, Bev. People, please feel free to turn your videos on. If you can keep yourself muted, that would be great because it will get very chaotic. Bravo. Oh my goodness, what a collection. Holy smokes. I am just amazed at the writing and the performing that we are able to just miraculously have submitted to us and perform tonight. Great job, everyone. Look, you don't have to turn your videos on. Oh, look at everybody. This is great.
No. And we can unmute long enough to say thank you to you to organize it, you know?
Oh, you're welcome. And Colleen, thank you.
Thank you, David.
if we're ever able to socialize again, I like to do, and Colleen and I organize things in the backyard where we do this scene party.
That's right. That's how we got pulled into all this to begin with, right? BeScene was canceled, and so we did our own scene party and invited people, and then Schenectady Civic invited us to run it at Schenectady Civic. So it's always just a great experience.
Thank you, Michael, for emceeing us. That was great. And there's been reminders of the donation page and the talkback. Do we have any questions or observations or anything? I encourage the actors, if you weren't able to do so, look at the chat. There were some lovely things said about most people.
Yeah. We'll monitor the chat, but also, I guess, feel free to unmute and ask a question or there's like a raise your hand.
Raise hand function on your lower upper.
But we'll keep our eyes on the chat.
Doesn't have that.
A question there and make sure your question is answered.
I did have one specific question. Rob, are you okay? You look a little bit, you look peaked.
Where's Rob? Oh, there he is. No, he's just comfortable because he's on his phone. So it's right. You're probably watching on your phone. Yeah, he's just chilling, watching BeScene on his phone.
This was a question. Megan Ryan is watching on YouTube. By the way, we've had anywhere from 20 to 30 people watching live on YouTube. Thank you to Quarantine E-Theater for allowing us to put us through on the YouTube channel there. Megan asked, this is for Dennis. She asked, I love that there's been use of props and we love that Dennis is using his whole room for his scene. We were wondering if it was written to use the whole room or if Dennis made the choice to use running to the door, using props, etc. Either way, we love it. Dennis, you want to answer that?
Yeah, that was just all my choice. So I figured, there was messy all the time. It wasn't be much of a stretch to do it. So yeah, that was just all my doing. And yeah, it was
Dennis's
fun.
spaceship is crossing the.
I hope it came out okay. Running to the door on my boxer shorts.
Dennis, something has happened to your audio, which I'm so happy did not happen during the performance.
You're in another dimension, maybe.
He's being assimilated by the Borg.
In 100 years, your message will reach us.
It was breaking up. I didn't hear that.
No.
All good. It's all good.
Hey, David, maybe I should answer that question.
Please do, Rick. Go ahead.
No, a lot of that was Dennis creating, it was not written to have him run around.
Time travel. No.
Go ahead, Rich.
But anyway, no, so this was kind of a collaboration between Dennis and me.
Rich, I always love your work. I think that the writing here was really interesting to listen to. Does anybody want to talk about their writing experience at all, about being able to capture the pandemic experience? Any thoughts on that?
There's a book called The 90-Day Novel, which takes some of these same ideas. And that's what started me thinking about, well, with a pandemic, you could go even further. Wouldn't take 90 days, you could do it in a couple of weeks.
Something about that isolation, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
I remember reading about the novelist Amy Tan, who wrote the Joy Luck Club. She put she like put her desk in a closet. I don't know if it was for that book or another book to write her book, and that's how she got through it. Was sitting in a closet writing. Kind of similar.
There you go, Rich.
I think it's a great time for creativity. This piece that I wrote, it's a small monologue that comes out of a 4-character play that's kind of based on my sisters and I and our Zoom calls. And so this will be something I'll be expanding into a 4-character play, probably 1 act that I hope to finish soon.
That would be great. I thought Connie really portrayed that extraordinarily well. It was so
Yeah, well, it was based on Connie somewhat, and really recognizing, all of our local costume designers kind of just jumped on and started making masks, and it's something that was reminiscent for me and of if you think back to the World War II times when folks jumped together and they would collect recyclables, and they would or they would portion out things in the community, and it was one of those things where society and government weren't providing, and these folks jumped together and just started making stuff. And I love that kind of attitude and a mentality for people in stress and trauma. They're just taking charge of things.
And especially, Michael, as you mentioned, you can't do your normal. You can't volunteer at your food pantry. Your church can't have their events and stuff. Yeah. So Connie and I are both mask makers. We just hit 400.
Oh,
husband and I. Whoa. Yeah.
That's just phenomenal. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Jump in and just do a sort of a cheap plug for something else. You can hear Connie talk about the mask making on Everything Theater, a podcast they do with another local actor who performed with all of you, Ellen Cribbs, and she spoke about all that. So and this is fun, and you're all charged up to hear more from her. It's on all the platforms.
Thank you, Bonita.
Wonderful.
So we have a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yep, one is from Roseanne. She would like Laura to talk a little bit about how she prepared her monologue. And she really, she says her performance was so touching, a great marriage of playwright and actor. So,
well, thank you. To be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of preparation. JJ we were having a conversation one night, and he mentioned that he was going to write something for me for this, and I was like, okay, well then I trust you. And so I read it, and I cried the very first time I read it, and it just touched me because I think that it's so poignant, I think, to what we're all going through and what I think people have gone through with friends in their lives. And I just felt that the writing was so good. When you have great writing like that, I think that's the first thing that you need. Thank you, Roseanne, for your lovely comments. I'm so touched, but I think it really had mostly to do with JJ's writing. His writing is just fantastic. So, and it just moved me.
And Laura, while you're on, I received a private question from Jean Carney. I was wondering, your performance was so intense. What did you tap into to spark those emotions?
I think it's very strange, but if someone says something mean to you, I think a lot of times we shut down, we close up, and we go into defense mode. When someone says something kind to you, I think it breaks all your defenses, and your heart opens and your emotions flood. And I think that's what I felt during the part in the script where, this character, Kathy, is running, and she has her guard up this whole time because it's like she's just going through her routine. And then, she gets to the part where she sees this child crying and how they're reacting to having to wear a mask and seeing this mother react. And then finally, when this, older lady is on a stoop and says to her that, she's going to be okay, that she can keep going. I think that's when people drop their defenses, when somebody can have all these walls up and then somebody can just say something really just simple and kind. And then you suddenly just can't hold it in anymore. I feel like there was a flood of emotions that were built up for Kathy for a really long time. And then that pinprick just, the dam, broke, and all her emotions from everything that she had been feeling came flooding out. So I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Laura.
Colleen, you want to take that? There was another question.
There's another question. Sarah Papini would love to hear where Tara came up with the idea for her monologue, Life on Pause.
So, when I was thinking of doing a monologue, because I wanted to try to write something because I had never written a monologue before, I was kind of trying to think outside of how I would normally write things. Not so much from my experience, but possibly the experience of someone else or something else. And I was trying to think of any other entity or something that was completely oblivious to the pandemic that would actually feel as if their life changed for the better. And I was like, oh, well, our pets are probably happier that we're home all the time. You know what I mean? And I kind of just tried to make a parallel between the isolation and kind of loneliness that a lot of people are feeling right now to the isolation and loneliness that, our animal companions may feel from time to time.
Definitely a twist.
I didn't come up with the title either. I wish I could take credit for the title. I could not for the life of me think of what to call it. But yeah, I think that's the best part of the piece, to be honest with you, the part I did not come up with.
You're so good.
As I do want to thank two local acting schools that are going on right now. We have several I know Tara works with Blue Horse Repertory Company with Laura Lee Acabelli, and I know that a couple of the people here, Dennis and Beverly, at least, maybe more, work with Patrick White and have been, tooling their work when they presented tonight with those acting classes. So I want to make sure that both of those companies have also allowed us to go to them and invite people to participate, not just in this BeScene, but in prior ones as well. So thanks for those.
I have another question here from Michael Schaefer, our MC tonight. Would like to know how Stephen Hinnell got his inspiration for his piece.
Well, the inspiration I got from my piece is kind of just the way, whenever there's a great injustice in the world and people try to sweep it under the carpet, one of the first things that they will do is they will try to invalidate the anger of the people directly affected by it. This piece was written before the protest, but the protest is only like the latest example of it. If there's, whether it's, mothers grieving for their children who died in a mass shooting, or, parents that had their children taken away from them, there's just always an injustice where people try to take the very justified anger away from those suffering from these injustices. And, they try to gaslight the people into thinking that, it's that them expressing it is somehow, to use their words, thuggish, or, if you're a woman, I'm sure you hear a lot that you're just being hysterical or hormonal or something like that. And just the frustration I feel when that justified anger, when people would try to take that away, I guess that's where I came up with the metaphor of, Prometheus stealing the fire from the gods, and how, people steal anger from others to take away that power when they fear that power.
Well,
David, there's a question for you from Roseanne. She really enjoyed your slice of life monologue. Its authenticity particularly touched her. And could you talk about more about why or how you wrote it? Thank you, Steve, by the way.
Well, it was just very striking to me. You know, I ordinarily wouldn't, as I said in the piece, I use the word fuck judiciously, although you wouldn't know that from reading the piece. Listening to the piece, and I was very interested when I used that profile banner on my Facebook. Actually, people didn't respond to me directly. There were more like global comments about people doing such a thing, and it made me think about over my lifetime, people sometimes react more strongly to the word fuck than they do to the reason why somebody might be saying it. So I thought it was an interesting context to explore the use of that word and the arc of where we've been in terms of the pandemic. And there were some humorous possibilities with it, so I used those as well. I'm glad Rob liked the liquor store comment.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Roseanne's response in the comment, which is, "Fuck yeah." Very good. I just said the F word. Yeah.
Yeah, there is noise in the room, Michael. I don't know as we shut down last night for the rehearsal, I don't know who it was. There's somebody here, and I'm not even sure muting and unmuting does it because we did it last night.
Dennis is not muted, I wonder. Dennis, if you hear me, can you try muting your screen? There's just some feedback coming through.
We've been on for almost over 2 hours now, and what I'd like to do is invite you just to shut down and say goodnight. Michael Schaefer saying goodnight. Congratulations to all.
Wonderful.
So our MC is leaving.
Good night.
Bartender going home. You know?
All of you, this has been so marvelous, and the only regret, if there's any, is that it would be so terrific to have everybody here in person, not here, Schenectady Civic Players, and we would have a little party right now with all of our great friends who are watching us. Please consider doing BeScene on the day that we're all allowed to do it again. We would love to have it. It'd be so much fun. So.
Well, thank you for organizing.
It's our pleasure.
We're rising to the occasion. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everyone.
Good night.
We hope.
Thank you. And good night to any audience members who are left.
Thank you.
Bye.